Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm on day number 4, and I have to tell you that these meditations are getting more and more intense. They're getting more and more emotional. They're getting more and more of everything as time goes by. So I can't really tell you without just going into it and beginning. But I'm going to tell you that I started out, somewhat light with regards to this, and then I started getting into my dreams and into some of the other things that were discussed in earlier meditations. So somehow this all turned into a discussion of current events, and I'm trying not to talk too much about politics in these meditations because I don't feel that they are conducive to what I'm really overall trying to do. And it seems as though I get more views on my videos when I do discuss politics or when I do discuss current events than when I just talk about spiritual unfolding and things of that nature. In the last 2 days, I've lost 2 subscribers, and I'm sorry to see you go. If I know that a lot of people have like a gazillion and one subscriptions to channels. I've subscribed and unsubscribed from channels too. So, I mean, I'm just as I do it too. So it's not really anything earth-shattering, if you will, but that's where I was when I started. So that's what I was discussing at the start of this. But I really have to tell you that this has become a lot more than just my meditation and me doing this. This has become something that I think that parallels with what a lot of intuitives are saying, even though I'm trying not to focus on what they are saying when I do this. So, with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and start reading this, and then at the end of the meditation, I will probably discuss further or if it's needed. So here we go. This is day number 4. It's January 14th, 2026, and I'm just going to get started. Okay. I said, right now, my biggest concern is if the people watching this video like what I am doing. It is hard to gauge what I am trying to do here to what others might perceive about what I am doing. Does that make sense? Sunshine says, who cares? It is done for your well-being. If the conversations help you, then it doesn't matter what people say or think about it. You're not doing this to go viral. You're doing this to give yourself a peace of mind. Sometimes the needless worry about what other people think is just that, needless. I think for what it's worth, you are doing a good thing here. The overall idea of these challenges, if that is really what it is to find yourself that sense of peace that seems to manifest in a rather chaotic world. I said, you're right. And yes, it really does seem like the news just gets crazier and crazier as each day goes by. I wish that we could find some respite from all of this. It is, as I told Roman yesterday, that I really am in need of some quiet. Sunshine says, actually, you mentioned that to me 3 days ago. I said, yeah, but everything seems to blend together. I watch stories, but it feels as though I'm litlessly going through life, not really knowing what to do. Each day, I think I need to walk, get my steps in, or I need to do the writing to find my center. Sunshine says, what does the writing do for you? I said, well, it calms me down. I sit here and just put the pencil to paper and allow my thoughts to drift. I know that our conversations are real. But there are moments when I ask myself, how is it possible to find any sense of calm by writing nonstop for about an hour? It really does beg the question, a question that I need some sort of answer for. Ramon said yesterday that the predictions are based entirely on logic. So can you help me figure this out? How are the things I predict, if based on logic, somehow a part of the spiritual realm? It sounds convoluted. Predictions uh, based on logic seem scientific, like a hypothesis, When I mix oil and water, the water sinks to the bottom while the oil swims at the top. The oil is lighter, so it stands to reason. Ramon said that you are able to predict through observations. But what about instincts or spiritual guidance? How can I decide that a prediction is a spiritual thing and not entirely based on science? Sunshine says, you have been making thought-based predictions every time you pick up the tarot cards. When you pull a card, say the Hierophant, what thoughts do you have about that card? If you make an assertion based on the book, do you study the image and determine the interpretation by what you see? I said, generally, I draw my own conclusions based on what the images tell me. So that is based on logic, Sunshine asked. I said, no, it would be logical to look at the book and draw my own interpretation of it based on the words in the book. She said, does it help? I said, sometimes looking at the book enables me to pull out key words or phrases to determine the meanings or what I perceive the meanings to be. Sunshine says, you're using a balance of two things. Ramon's logically based concepts of what is established, plus your thoughts about what it means based on the image that you are presented with. Now take a deep breath and let's see if we can formulate a prediction. You used the idea of political uncertainty in the U.S. right now. Let's explore that. On the surface, what do you think is going to happen in the year 2026? I said, I don't want to say what I think because I don't want to jinx it. Sunshine says, you won't. What do you see happening? Close your eyes if you have to, but tell me in an unfiltered way what you see. It doesn't matter what it is. Just allow your mind to explore the idea. I said, okay, last night when I closed my eyes, I got this visual image of people dancing in the streets. It was dark outside and looked a bit like New Year's Eve. I didn't see fireworks. I only saw people dancing. At one point, someone came up to me and shoved a champagne glass into my hand. Seconds later, I saw another person opening a bottle. The pop of the cork resonated in the air, followed by laughter. Eventually, I asked, what's going on? And someone else said, didn't you hear? That was all I saw. A huge celebration, a group of people having a wonderful time. It coincided with the dream I had in April when our friend messaged me and said, check the news, Yvette. The celebrations were massive. When I opened my eyes, I was in bed. The room was dark. Closing my eyes again, I could see myself walking through the auditorium where we have choir rehearsals, and I was dancing, happy. My joy seemed to fill the room. And although there are no words exchanged, I had such unbridled joy that the words were not necessary. Sunshine says, what was that? I said, it was a transition. Should someone's passing bring glee and joy like that? I'm going to stop for just a second and just explain that when I had that when I was writing that down, the thought that was going through my mind was from a movie. Albert Finney played Scrooge in 1970, in a musical version of The Christmas Carol. And the thought that was going through my mind was a song that was called Thank You Very Much, and people were dancing in the streets. So that's the imagery that I had, and that's what it was all entirely based upon. Okay. So anyway, Sunshine goes on to say, I cannot objectively say, Yvette. This is like asking about whether or not it should bring joy or glee to someone, which coincides with that movie and that images from that movie. It seems to me that the expression of joy is not encapsulated in someone's transition inasmuch as it is about the sense that all of these things have been building up. As each day goes by, the pressure behind the buildup gets bigger and bigger. Think about yourself as that cork from the bottle of champagne. You can feel the pressure building up behind you. When you had your dream back in April, you noticed that one of the dominant articles in that dream were the champagne corks that were strewn on the ground. You identified it as celebration or as a reason or rationale to celebrate. That was a joy-filled experience. But could it have been something else? Something much more grounded, something less self-centered than a reason to have a party? The repeated dreams and visions are the champagne corks and the outflowing of champagne. It is a force of the liquid emerging out and forming a release, an opportunity to let go of the things that you had been harboring. The sense of release is not a sense of celebration, but that release of all of the things that had been building up over a period of time. Yes. So what you're saying is, I said, so what you're saying is, I'm not celebrating someone else's demise, but instead the release of the pent up emotions that come from the months and years of pent up breaths and anxiety. And Sunshine says, yes, that release comes as a result of the transition. It makes itself known in the form of dreams and visions. That is as sound a prediction as Ramon's logic-based assertions. Remember, he said that you can predict an outcome based on the sense of relief, but also on the physical manifestations around you. Others have made guarded but similar predictions. It is all based on what you are seeing and what collectively humanity is also observing. This is why all of the intuitive predictions parallel. It has very little to do with you saying so and such, but instead the observations are of the same person, the same actions, and the same intuitive knowledge. Anyone can see that the person in question is dreadfully sick. One does not need a degree in internal medicine to see that one must merely look at the man's face to see the pain and emptiness in his eyes. You see it. Each time you look at his face or hear slurring words, you do not even have to say his name to know that he is not well. Anyone who watches this video knows internally who is being discussed. Not a single word must be spoken. It is akin to your dancing through the room and not saying a word. I said, it seems as though the entire planet is waiting for that moment. Sunshine says, it is not a figment of your imagination, Yvette. The planet is waiting for that moment of release, waiting for a moment when humanity can collectively sigh with relief. I said, is it wrong to feel that way, to have a bottle of bubbly chilling and waiting for that day to come? Sunshine says, it is not wrong. There's a universal holding of breath going on. But on the other side, we are waiting for the ultimate outcome. When the day comes, the energy will shift. It will calm and humanity will begin to pick up the pieces. Just keep in mind, it is likely not happening overnight. It will take time. When trust is damaged, whether it be on a personal level or on a global scale, it takes a great deal of time for that trust to be rebuilt. I said, I have sensed that for quite some time. Sunshine says, yes, I know. But the release is coming. You sense it now. But it will be more than just an exhale. It will be anxious feelings of what will come next. I said, will these files be released? Sunshine said, they are starting to emerge. And when they do, the order of the planet will shift. Nothing that you have perceived till this point will be the same. The shift of planetary energies will be massive. I said, that's what I've been thinking. And Sunshine says, when I said massive, I mean massive, all caps massive. There will be no room to deny it, but there will be another shift, akin to what the German people bore witness to after the Holocaust. This is how massive this will be. The trickle of information will prepare you only slightly for what is about to be unleashed. In some ways, it is like a bandage being removed. With the trickle of information, that is like trying to remove the bandage slowly. With this, it will be ripped completely off and very quickly. But even then, there is no gauging how much of what percentage of information will actually emerge. Protect your light. Whatever comes to the planet, do what you must do to protect your light. This is the most imperative guidance I can offer you. I said, thank you, Sunshine. And that's where we ended. So, yes, a lot of people are saying this. Protect yourself. Look out for yourself. Look out for your community. Look out for your neighbors. This is not over yet. And I do not know when it's going to end. I do not know when we will have that global exhalation of breath where we are like feeling that sense of relief that thank God this is over. Thank God this is behind us. Thank God, thank God, thank God. There is no way of really gauging that. So what she's saying is watch out for your light. Protect your light because your light is what will keep you sane through all of this. So what she is basically telling me is to guard your light and protect that light. Don't read or watch something that's going to bring harm to that light because if your light goes out, then you're defeated. If the light stays on and radiates throughout the planet, then we are like stars in the night sky. We are 100,000 million beams of light shining through the darkened alleyway. So that's what I got for you today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. As I said at the beginning, I thought that this was a bit lighter, but as it turned out, it wasn't. So thank you so much. Take care, and as always, namaste.